Yeah, it was the worst experience that you can imagine because once that door lay flat down, there were dead men and wounded men all over the beaches when we got there. And we talked about only one thing: get off the beach, you're a victim. Off the beach, you're a warrior.
Freedom isn't free. Today, you're going to hear that from a man who lived the invoice. I'm John Fenzel. I'm in Oxford, Florida, sitting with Staff Sergeant Irving Locker, U.S. Army, World War II. He's 101 years old. Mr. Locker, thank you for having us here in your home.
And thank you for doing what you're doing.
Well, before we touch on the war, Irving, how are you feeling these days at 101 years old?
Wonderful, wonderful. I work out in the gym 2 or 3 times a week and feel wonderful. Try to stay in good shape because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Well, you said that you thank God for every little thing. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. In the war, I learned to thank God up and down the line every day and using a special phrase, but for the grace of God go I, with people getting killed or stepping on a mine alongside of you is unbelievable. And you have to understand that that's how I've thought about thanking God every day because it was proven to me.
Let's talk a little bit about before the war, Irving. Where did you grow up and what did actually being poor mean to you day to day?
Well, I'm the baby of 7 of the family. There were 7 children. And being poor money-wise, make sure you understand money. Very rich in loving and kindness and goodness, and a mother and a father taking good care of us. And we appreciated that very, very much. But it taught you what it is to be poor and to live with people and to get along with people.
Who would you say, Irving, shaped your life the most?
My mother shaped my life the most because being the baby of 7 children, she pounded away and take care of your brothers and sisters. Learn to watch out for them. And it helped me because once I got into the Army, it was the same thing to me as living with brothers and sisters. We went to Fort Dix. It's an interesting thing. You come out of a home, you're either in bed alone or with a brother or with 2 brothers. And here you get to Fort Dix for training, and you're in a room with 50 guys.
All at barrack.
Unbelievable situation to the point of this is how you're supposed to live until you're set up with an outfit. But this guy's whistles, this guy snores, this guy's playing poker, this guy's shooting crap.
What year was that?
1943.
Right. So World War II was fully
underway.
Irving, when did the war go from being a headline to being something very personal for you?
Well, 1944, basically, because I had 2 brothers in before me, 2 brother-in-laws in before me, and Roosevelt at the time was the president. But he did not want to go into the war until the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Then he had no alternative. Then he was behind, so he took everybody he could without any ifs, ands, or buts. He took us right out of graduating high school, took the whole graduating class. And interesting point, when I got to the Army, the first question they asked us, who could drive a tractor trailer? Here we're 16, 17 years old, and I raised my hand, I can drive a tractor trailer. And he said, okay.
You'd been driving since you were 15?
Yeah, go to the motor pool, So I went to the motor pool and all of a sudden a 6'5" lieutenant looks down at me. He says to me, what are you doing here? So I drive the tractor trailer. He says, you can't even reach the handles. You can't even reach the handles on the door. Get out of here. Go to the machine guns. I went to the machine guns, and again, life. There's a sergeant on the machine guns and said, oh, good. Everybody on my guns are Italian. You're going to fit right in. And I looked up and said, I'm not Italian, I'm Jewish. Okay, get out of here. Go to the big guns. The big guns were 9.5 tons, 10,000-pound guns. The barrel of it was 15 feet long. The bullet we fired was 3 feet tall and weighed 45 pounds. You'll see pictures of the actual shell because people never believe what it is. We had 14 men on a gun, 5 men at dials controlling the gun, the height, the distance, the width, everything. 9 men to control ammunition. 9 men standing there with a 45-pound shell in their hand, putting it into what I called at the time a fuse setter, which set the distance that the bullet that was being shot would explode. People have no idea. They think that you shoot at a plane like you shoot at a person. No. When that bullet gets up 25, 30,000 feet, whatever it is, it explodes. The fuse explodes, and then you got 1,000 pieces of metal that the planes either fly into or hitting the planes, because you don't shoot at a plane like you shoot at a person.
Yes.
So this bullet explodes.
And you said your ammunition could actually punch through armor, correct?
Absolutely. There's special ammunition, and then there's armor piercing that I can go through a tank like a piece of glass.
Well, now, Irving, you mentioned you're Jewish.
Yes.
Tell me about going through basic training, coming into the Army, and then deploying to the war as a Jewish veteran. What did that mean to you?
Not really that much difference.
Yeah.
We had priests that attended. We had rabbis that came in. But basically, once we hit the war, it was over. It was very rare that you could get, unless you were hurt or killed or something. And the dog tags that we wore has your religion on it.
Yes.
So if you're hurt or laying there and a priest or a rabbi comes and takes a look, they can give you the proper service for being dead.
But also, if you were captured,
that's a big difference. If you were captured, you threw your dog tags away. I would anyway.
Yes. Well, Irving, we're going to talk about the progression from you landing on D-Day at Utah Beach and then going into the Ardennes for the Battle of the Bulge and then driving off into Berlin and liberating that concentration camp. But before we get into that, let me ask you this. As a soldier, as a new soldier, what was the hardest thing to adjust to in military
The hardest
life?
thing was men getting hurt, getting killed, because they had minefields with big signs, Achtung Minen, which means attention mines. You didn't know whether to believe them or not. In my position as a staff sergeant, when we got a march order to go to the next position, I would get into a Jeep and go to the next field, to the field that I was assigned to. And there were big signs, Achtung Minen. Do you get out of that Jeep or don't you get out of that Jeep? Do you go into that field? But my men were coming, guns were coming. I had no alternative but not knowing whether you're going to come out to that field or not.
And you advanced through the ranks very quickly, Irving. You went from being a private to a staff sergeant in record time. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I attribute that point to my mother bringing me up to taking care of your brothers and sisters. Watch out for them. Be careful with them. And I did that with the men. The men who gave me my basic training were the same way. Each one was fighting, each one was doing this, and I wasn't. I got along with them because I made it my business to get along with them and convince them that I became a corporal, that I became a sergeant, that really and truly I'm there to help them and we want to come out alive. And when I became a staff sergeant, every sergeant who gave me my basic training was under me in combat.
That's amazing.
Amazing. But to get along with them and to convince them that, hey, I'm here to help. I'm here to do my best to get us home safe and sound.
Well, as I understand it, you would have to break down in 3 minutes and move to your next position, correct?
Unbelievable, unbelievable.
How did you get your unit to work as one?
Only because of the family bringing me up that way. Like I said, being brought up with 7 children and living together with 7 children, everything, eating, sleeping, whatever it was, taking care of each other is my only way that I could say, because it was not a hardship for me. It was never, it was there to prove to them that, hey, if we work together and work as a team, we got a better chance of coming out alive than we do otherwise.
So at Slapton Sands, you were on these landing craft, but a number of these LSTs were actually blown up by German U-boats, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. The Germans blew up one of our ships where we lost 700 men.
Now, you couldn't even talk about that.
Well, we had to stay quiet, so we were absolutely forbidden to talk about it or mention it. We couldn't talk about it because they didn't want the families to know that it happened before the invasion, before they got into the war. But to see that happen, and again, why that ship and not the ship I was on, who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
And we came in on the Higgins boat.
Well, now, Irving, take us on to your Higgins boat. You're landing at Utah Beach on July 6, 1944. Can you talk about that experience?
It was the worst experience that you can imagine, because once that door lay flat down, there were dead men and wounded men all over the beaches when we got there. We were not allowed to do that because the people who brought us in on the Higgins boat, their job basically was to pick up the sick men, the dead men, take them back to the big ships. And we talked about only one thing: get off the beach, you're a victim. Off the beach, you're a warrior. Get off the beach. Don't look at anything. Don't talk about it. Get off of that beach.
Who was shouting that at
the
you?
Officers. And me at the time, or the non-commissioned officers. That was our orders. Get those men off the beach, safe and sound, so that we could congregate to the point of where we're supposed to be.
Yeah. I think anybody who was on that beach or on that battlefield was scared. And
Absolutely.
what's your first job on Utah Beach?
Just basically to protect bridges, to protect men.
Mhm.
We were there to protect the men coming in out of those beaches, because when they're strafing is one thing. When they're strafing, the planes are coming right down and machine gunning you. You can't do anything about it with the 90-millimeter guns that we had.
Well, Irving, when the Battle of the Bulge started, what changed for you overnight?
Living in the worst weather we had in 20 years. Can you even imagine digging a hole to go to sleep at night with wet boots and a wet coat? The cold, the weather. It was the worst weather they had, with snow and ice. Living in the ground with snow and ice. And I got a touch of frostbite there. A lot of my men got frostbite.
How did you keep going?
You had to keep going because you didn't know from one day to the next you're going to go where or go or how. And everything had to be brought to us. Everything. They brought food to us. They brought water to us. They brought medicine to us. Everything had to be brought to us because we were on the front line protecting the men with those guns, with planes, with tanks, with infantry. There was a man in our battalion who kept a chronological order of every single day of the war about our outfit. I have that book. It shows every single day what ship we were on, what room we were on, what we did. And I take that book and show people that it isn't just me talking, that it was written by somebody else.
In those circumstances, what does leadership look like when everybody is scared, exhausted, and cold?
You have no idea. You're told, you do what you're told.
Yeah.
There was no question. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You don't know from one minute to the next where, who, how. You're told what to do. You're told what to eat. You're told what to drink. You're told everything you're told to do and following orders. And that's what you do. You follow orders as a private, as a corporal, as a sergeant, and as a staff sergeant giving those orders from the lieutenants.
How old were you as a staff sergeant?
18 years old.
An 18-year-old staff sergeant. You get through the Battle of the Bulge, you start advancing towards Berlin, and suddenly you're on the steps of the Garlaghagen concentration camp. Can you talk a little bit about...
Well, yeah, we stopped it right outside of Berlin, and that's where we went to the concentration camp there. But being Jewish language is a derivative of German. Now, I couldn't carry on a conversation with you, but I could pick a word here, pick a word there, and understand what you're talking about. And I carried a German Luger that we took off of an officer shot down. The German Luger spoke German very, very well, so it helped me tremendously and my men tremendously. I went to the barns for food, for water, to help protect my men because everything, again, had to be brought to us.
When you're in that concentration camp, what would you like people to know about man's inhumanity?
People have no idea what man's inhumanity to man is because we liberated a Holocaust camp called Gardelegen.
Right outside of Berlin.
Right. Well, what they did to Jewish people, what they did to women and children, what they did to, they needed labor. They needed slave work. And they didn't treat you as human beings. You were told what to do, and if you didn't do what you were told to do, you were killed or burned. Whatever way they could, they decided. Hitler was no good, but the men he put in charge of these camps became God in their own head. You do what I tell you or else you're through.
And let me ask you, Irving, witnessing that, how did that change you personally?
Changed me a lot to the point of realizing how we were brought up and how other people are brought up. And even today, I lecture today all over, and I talk about that same factor of being good to people, getting to understand. I go to the schools, and I talk to the children in the schools, even about thanking their mother and father. They don't do it because they don't think of it. But their mother and father are working hard, labor, cooking, cleaning, so that you could be free and have a good life because of it. But the fact remains that you have to thank them and get to understand, whether you thank them or not, get to love them and understand what they're doing so you could be free.
Irving, you know, the Americans stopped at the Elbe River. Where were you at the end of World War II?
Well, I went into Berlin, so as far as I was concerned, we got there. But was by numbers that you were released from the service. And I had good numbers. At the end of the war, you had a job to do, and we did the job. And then they start for deactivation.
So you came home and you went into business, right?
Went home and went into business. And the business I did very well because I have a business head. I got a job with somebody who ran a printing press, a big printing press. And at that time, he went into business. So when he hired me, he did it a businessman to do that. He sold a lot of the equipment, and he hired a man to do it because he knew how to run the press. But they fired the guy that was supposed to give me the training. So I said, who's going to train me? He says, go to the printers. So from New Jersey, I used to go down to the shore and call on every printer and every print shop with one thought. What have you got that's costing you money in the warehouse or that you're not using or you want to get rid of? What do you want to get rid of? And by the time I came back with a complete inventory and no cost to me of equipment for sale.
That's great.
And then, of course, at that time, I had 11 people working for me in my basement of my home.
Is that right?
And then, of course, another very big factor, the factories, when they sold a new piece of equipment, took the old piece in on trade, put them back into the factory, cleaned them up, updated them, and then put them back in a box. The men were selling the remanufactured equipment rather than new.
That's amazing.
So they contacted me. I got it to the point that I was buying the remanufactured equipment from them and selling it to my customers. So now I would go in, and like I said, I had 11 people. But we did it, the first company that sold equipment by phone, because we were talking to printers who knew the equipment.
Yeah.
We didn't have to explain anything. Till today, every day, I'm 101 years old, and I thank God every single day. When I get up in the morning and get on my feet, I thank God that I'm here and alive and well, and I'm married to the same lady. She's 95 years old. Bernice, and 77 years of marriage.
It's amazing.
And I still tell her every day how much I love her and appreciate what she does.
Irving, you returned to Normandy for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. What did that mean to you?
A tremendous amount, because at that time you get an idea. When we were drafted, you had no idea where, who, and how. You were sent to a place. You were told what to do, where to go. Here, it was a different situation. You went there, you talked to people who explained what they went through, who explained the life that they had. So it was a big difference.
Well, thank you, Irving. We're going to continue this conversation. Thank you for your service, for everything that you've done for our nation. If this episode hit you, share it with somebody younger than you. That's how memory survives.
Yes.
We're very grateful.
Thank you. I'm grateful to you for allowing me to do this.
We're here in Oxford, Florida, at Irving's home, and it's this place where he has set up for us a whole host and array of artifacts from World War II that he brought back with him after the war. He shows these artifacts at many different venues, to include schools, where he shows children what World War II consisted of, and he gives them the full account. But what I'd like to do first is read this account that came from Irving's battery commander, and then also from some of the men who he served with. Many years ago, Irving Locker's captain, Mike Kruglinski, wrote a tribute to him. He felt an obligation to all who served under him, and also to Irving's family, to tell his story. He was concerned that others without military background might not appreciate Irving's accomplishments during 5 major battles, starting with D-Day and including the Battle of the Bulge. He went on to say that his earning of promotion to staff sergeant in a combat zone at the age of 19, after only 18 months of service, in charge of 65 men and all the anti-aircraft equipment, was the achievement of a lifetime. On another occasion, Paul Sakari, who served under Irving, wrote that he was the moving spirit of the battery. He was our man of action and accepted responsibility. Irving could always be depended upon to get the job done well, and on time. What God failed to give this guy in stature, he more than made up for by giving him an extra dose of good common sense and a lot of chutzpah. He had the ability to move small mountains and was a giant of a little man. Irving, that's fabulous.
But it didn't come from me.
No, I know it didn't, and that's what makes it even more meaningful, right?
That's the big thing.
Well, Irving, would you show us items that you brought back?
This is a flag I took off a wall in Berlin.
And you had your men sign it, right?
Yeah. And the beauty part is, a lot, like even now, The men who were with me are gone, but the children have heard about this and come to see the flag and take that flag up and kiss it because of their father. This is a real German Luger. When we shot down the plane, this came down with it, and the handles broke and stuff. So I had the Germans make me handles with my name on it so they wouldn't steal it. But that's an authentic German from 1916, written right on it with 1916. This is the big thing. This is the shell we fired. 3 feet tall and weighs 45 pounds. Now the bullet part is 12 to 14 inches. This is the bullet part. This stayed on the ground. This went up into the air at the planes. We had on the equipment a fuse setter, would set the fuse in here, so when it got to the distance of 25,000 feet up or 30,000 feet up, it would explode. So this part would explode, and you got 1,000 pieces of metal that the planes are flying into or that hitting you. People think you shoot at a plane like you shoot at a person. That's not true. This is the bullet point here, but when it gets up there to the designated height from the radar, it explodes. So you got 1,000 pieces of metal going at the planes. Also, the same thing with armor-piercing shells. I could go through a German tank like a piece of glass. Armor-piercing here. These are daggers with the swastikas still on them that we took away from the Nazis the same way. Here's a picture of me in service. And the big thing about that is, this is what I carried. This is what I carried. This is what I carried. Because when you jump into a hole, when they're strafing, and you jump into a hole, if a German's in that hole, one of you are not coming out. So this saved my life. Because when you hit somebody with your hand, it's one thing. You hit somebody with brass knuckles like this, and a dagger, you got a better chance of coming out. This is sand I brought back from Utah Beach. This is interesting. This is the helmet we wore. Now, people don't understand. This is the liner. This is how we washed. This is how we shaved. This is how we brushed our teeth, because we lived in a field. We couldn't be near a building. We couldn't be near because of the size of the bullet. When we fired 4 of these guns firing this type of bullet and 16 guns at the same time, we knocked down walls, we knocked down windows, so we couldn't be there. But here, this is what we did. This took out the liner, and this is how we washed, this is how we shaved, this is how we bathed. People have no idea what it was to live in a field like that. This is the shovel we carried where we dug the holes. We jumped in off the boats with this strapped to us. Can you even imagine that? This is the shovel that we used to dig the hole and carried it right with us to do that.
Was that your personal shovel?
Personal shovel. It's got my name on it.
Wow.
This is when we couldn't get food. This is what we ate. K rations, C rations. This is what we ate. Instead of dishes, this is what we ate out of. A mess kit. So you talk about living and you talk about appreciation, what you got now, where you can come home and eat out of meals, etc. This is important. This book was written by one of the men in my outfit. We did not know about it. It's got a chronological order of every single day of the war, every man's name that was in the outfit, every single day of the war, right down to deactivation, officers' roster, enlisted men's roster. We were very lucky. We lost a lot less than
Yeah.
only because of the way we were stationed.
And I'm sure you think about them every day.
Oh,
don't you?
of course. But we think about it, but their children come to us.
Yes.
So I'm busy with that as well, to that point of talking to them and telling them about their father.
Very meaningful. And then some of them are actually on this flag.
This is the size of the gun. Can you picture that now? 10,000 pounds. The barrel is 15 feet long on that gun. 10,000 pounds. This is coming off the U-boat. The door lays down on the beach.
It's on the Higgins boat, right?
On the Higgins.
And that's the wall, the sea-wall right
Yeah,
there at Utah
right,
Beach.
yeah.
And then over here behind you, Irving, I see this is one of your guns in the Battle of the Bulge in the Ardennes Forest, correct?
Yeah. This is the gun. And this is with the ice and snow. And this is a picture
The Gardalig.
of the Gardalig.
And then here, Irving, it looks like this is the progression of...
That's where we came in, right?
And then your whole path through Europe.
That's it, right in. This is every line. From England, right on through, right into Germany. We stopped here. Then I went into Berlin.
How was it that you were able to go into Berlin?
Only because I was Jewish.
Yeah?
Well, I could understand it.
Mm-hmm.
They needed help. You have to talk.
Yes,
To
you
get
knew,
help.
you knew the language.
Well, the Yiddish
Yes.
part
Yes.
that we learned talking home,
Yeah.
not praying, that was Hebrew, but talking language.
So you were actually south of Berlin. That's where your unit stopped. But then they said, we need people to go into Gardalig.
That's it.
and
Try to help settle a town. And
over here, this is actually, it looks like a real map.
that's the map. That's the 5 beaches. 5 beaches.
Yep. So you got Utah Beach, Omaha,
That's it.
Gold, Juneau, Sword.
And I went in on Utah Beach.
And so what's interesting about this is that this, you look at other battlefields like Gettysburg, for instance, is about 26 miles. And then you go over into World War II and you look at Normandy, this is about 50 to 60 miles.
That's it.
And it's because of the expanse of our weaponry and the range of our weaponry.
Yep.
And so from here, you made your way south
Yep.
and then
right in.
over to the east.
Yep.
And so what you have here, then a lot of people think that D-Day was only the beaches,
No.
but in fact, it's the whole Battle of Normandy that
The
went
whole
on
Battle
for
of
70 days.
Sure.
And this is the Falaise Gap where a lot of the Germans were
Yep.
able to escape.
Yep.
And it's a great map.
That's what people have to know.
Yeah, the history is incredibly
Yeah.
important.
And here, the French were our friends. When we go back to France, the children were all wearing this.
Can you talk about how you got that
Yeah.
shirt?
And I talked about the fact that I wanted to buy one. The kid said, "You can't buy this." He took it right over his back and gave it to me and said, "You got this shirt." And I drag it all over the place to show people, especially our kids. They know nothing about it.
And then over here,
Too.
Irving, let's look at your picture here with you with all of
Yeah, this
your
is the
unit.
men. I got a picture of this, of all of our men. And this is one battery, Baker Battery, B Battery.
And this is you right here.
Yep, with the dot.
Right.
See the dot? That's me. So the children contact me about their fathers. So that's what I do.
And so this is one of the planes that was shot down, and you went over to actually.
And then the big thing was, at the end, I would have to destroy the plane. See the hand grenade
Use the hand grenade to destroy the.
bike when I got done with the plane. Because I would try to interpret the pilot to see where he was from. Where did he come from? See what I could find in the plane to let our battalion
For
know
intelligence
for
value.
intelligence. But when it was all done, so that they couldn't repair the plane, again, I would destroy it with it.
That's amazing.
That's
Just
the
all
whole-
these artifacts that you were able to bring home with you. And we won't talk about how you got
No,
them back.
don't do that. Don't do
But
that.
but the fact that you have them here, you have a mini museum of sorts, Irving.
Yeah, that big, right? And I talk about a bullet 3 feet tall and weighed 45 pounds. One comment. You veterans are all liars. Get out of here. You know, I had to have it made. I had to recreate it.
Yes.
To drag it around to show people what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you had to get them demilitarized
well,
and everything
whatever
else.
it is, but to show
Just
you
to be
what
able
it
to
is.
do it. Let's look at, can you pick one signature on here, Irving, where you could tell a story about that one veteran?
Well, yeah. In other words, oh, it doesn't matter.
You got Pabby Ventola
Yeah.
here.
I get, they come to see me. His children come to see me, and bring me letters and different things.
And he's a New Jersey boy as well.
Yep.
What about Jim Pop Farrell? Do you remember him?
No, he's Brooklyn.
He's in Brooklyn.
Well, yeah, I remember him, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no stories.
And then you've got First Lieutenant Walter Rogers.
Yep.
Thomas Clark Jr., First Lieutenant as well.
Yep.
So you had the officers and the enlisted.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yep. And then you have a man here named Steve Cons. He was called Stash.
Yep.
Vito Batista from Brooklyn, New York.
Because it didn't matter to me, John. Their children, Ventola, their children come to visit me now and talk about their father and talk about.
Well, there's a story behind every one of those names.
There's a story behind every one of them. Well, this guy was especially, because when I was made staff sergeant, I promoted him.
Oh, did you?
I promoted him to take over my gun. I became a sergeant.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So you train people up.
Yep.
Well, what a wonderful artifact that you were able to be still in good shape. And it's serving a much better purpose now here than it did during the war.
And when I get done, I'll give it to a museum and they'll have it.
Yeah. Well,
but anyway, basically, this is my life.
Well, your life is so much more expansive, though, Irving. We have to tell you, we're so grateful to you for your service, your sacrifice, and for the service that you continue in educating all of our younger generation.
And I'm grateful to you because of you, I can get it out to the other generation.
Thank you, Irving. Thank you for everything you do.
That's my story, John.
Yes, sir. No, we're grateful, and I'm also very grateful just to be in your orbit and to count you as a friend.
Well, like I said, I'm grateful because now I can get out to places that I could not get to.
Yes, and that's our goal as well.